Good afternoon. This is the last session of the Congress. I'm Caglar AYDIN from Karadeniz Technical University. I will be chairing this session, which is titled Conservation, Transformation, Reuse. I would like to welcome our panelists and attendees. We have 4 panelists discussing preservation in different aspects today. Just one of them is missing right now, but maybe she can catch us later. I would like to introduce them to you. We have Tuba OLGUN from Euphrates University, Mehmet, Salih OZCELIK, and OZKAR from Istanbul Technical University, Zehra OZCELIK from Yıldız Technical University, Deniz ÇAKAR from İzmir 9 Eylül University with us. And I would like to remind our attendees that we will get to the questions and comments after the presentations, but this type of questions and comments in the Q&A section as we progress. So let's start the first presentation. The first one is titled An Assessment on the Conservation of Historical Bridge Structures, Bridges of the Upper Euphrates section. And it will be presented by Tuba OLGUN.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tuba OLGUN from Prague University, Institute of Architecture, Elazığ, Turkey, and our presentation is about an assessment on the conservation of historical bridge structures and the case of bridges of the upper Euphrates section. As we know, bridges have been important structures across history that enable to overcome obstacles related to transportation, especially water resources. The structures which date back to ancient times have been used extensively in Anatolia as in many parts of the world. So, especially the eastern Anatolia region, where there are many water resources, is one of the areas where many of these bridges have reached today. And the aim of the study is to contribute to the conservation of historical bridge structures in the upper Euphrates section of the eastern Anatolia region. The method of the study, our study consists of file studies, visual documentation studies, and literature reviews. And it's aimed at the data obtained as a result of the study will contribute to the conservation of the architectural heritage of similar quality across Anatolia and Europe. Especially the historical bridge structures in the upper Euphrates section, and to bring them into the future. At first, we know that the upper Euphrates section, on there you can see on the map, and this section which includes Malatya, Elazığ, Tunceli, Bingöl, and Erzincan provinces, is also very rich in terms of the water resources. This wealth has brought with its establishment of many civilizations and the construction of many water structures in the upper Euphrates section throughout history. Most of these structures are bridges. You can see some bridges as usual in here, and we know that according to the inventory of General Directorate of Highways, there are a total of 85 historical bridge structures in the upper Euphrates section, and 34 in Malatya, 17 in Elazığ, 9 in Tunceli, 2 in Bingöl, and 24 in Erzincan, within the borders of the provinces, within the scope of the study. And restoration projects of 12 bridges in Malatya, 6 bridges in Elazığ, 1 bridge in Tunceli, and 2 bridges in Bingöl have been prepared, we know. However, only some of these projects have been implemented. Malatya, Arap Bir Meydan bridges, Tarhanik Bridge, Kale Bridge, Kozluk, Mavilik, Darende Uzunok, and Nadir bridges, and Elazığ Maden Bridge, Şadyan Bridge, you can see on this photo, and Polu Bridge, you can see this from this photo, and Tunceli Pülümür Hanım Bridge, and this is also there, are some of the bridges that have undergone restoration, we know. And within the scope of the study, on-site observations were made in Elazığ, Tunceli, and in the Arapkir district of Malatya especially. According to this, the existence of 27 historical bridges in Elazığ, 10 in Tunceli, and 21 in Arapkir have been determined. However, 5 studies continue. From this point of view, it can be stated that there are more bridges in the investigated area than those included in the inventory of General Directorate of Highways. Some of these have been reopened with the restoration applications, some are used without any conservation work, and some are in a dilapidated condition and unusable, unfortunately. You can see on this photo, and this photo. These are in Elazığ and Tunceli district, and these are also Tunceli district, Hozat and Fülümür district. And we can see also from Elazığ, Tunceli and Arapkir. So they are unfortunately ruined, especially these structures. So many examples of historical bridges examined on site within the scope of the study, and we can see that some of these structures are abandoned and in ruins, and it's seen that if conservation work is not done quickly, they face the danger of extinction. And in this context, the conservation problems of these structures were discussed and suggestions were presented. So we saw some conservation problems detected on the bridges in there. Some of them, floods and overflows, are most important conservation problems of bridges. And the temperature differences is so important. And especially the change of transportation routes is an important factor in the abandonment of bridges. And also excavations for treasure under and around. We saw many excavations on the area that under and around bridges negatively affect the strength of structures. And some many registered bridge structures, no conservation work has been carried out yet, and no written, visual, and survey-based documents have been created. For this reason, some bridges can disappear with almost no documentation about them. You can see the other problems on our full paper also. You can see some problems on these bridges, flood and overflows, abandoned bridges, unfortunately, and some changing roads. Because of the changing roads, they are not using now. So there are some conservation problems detected on the bridges that we see. As a result, as conclusion, within the scope of the study, approximately 58 historical bridge structures, registered or not, were examined on site. It has been determined that the buildings have common conservation problems in general, and that each has its own problems. In the study, especially common problems were revealed, and we have some suggestions about that. I will not read all of our suggestions. You can see all of them on our full paper also. So as a result, the aim of the study is to draw attention to the rapid loss of the historical bridge structure, which has many and unique qualities in the upper Euphrates section, and to emphasize the importance of this structure. However, it's thought that our study will contribute to the conservation of structures with similar characteristics in Anatolia and many parts of the world. And I'd like to add this note that this study has been prepared within the scope of the TOPRAK 101 project, and its name is Identification and Investigation of Historical Bridges in the upper Euphrates section. The project is continuing. I believe that we will discover many bridges in this area and our references. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Tuba and Olgun, for the presentation. We're gonna move on to the next one. The second presentation is titled "A Computational Approach to Restoring Historical Timber Structures." And Mehmet, Salih, OZALP will present it.
Hello everyone. In this presentation, we focused on proposing repair methods for historic timber structures with a computational approach. First of all, a literature review of digital design, production, and cultural heritage was conducted. We see the network of them, some keywords concluded. After that, when we look at the current restoration process, the records utilized are based on conventional recording methods, such as technical documents and photographs. In addition, since the operation performed in the existing restoration method have a linear workflow. In this study, since the proposed approach method is rule-based, we can control it step by step. The records used are considered as data. These data are considered as intangible heritage. As a case study, the Görgeli Mosque in Samsun Çarşamba was taken. This mosque was built with wooden masonry technique and the original joint details are visible. Since 26, it has undergone two separate restoration and has been included in the restoration process again this year. As far as it has been examined, deformation and collapses have occurred on the roof of the building. When you look at the south facade, and here, there is an element that is a buttress. Will such an element is missing, just opposite. And now we can see the current situation on the south facade, which I mentioned here, especially in the Yavuz section. There is a serious deflection. In addition to this, we also see new interventions that are not original in some areas of the building. And for example, as you can see in the slide, the repair of burned pagoda structure is seen. When we look at the image, we look at the burned part and added part, and this here use a joint detail, and this detail is not a new method. It's a traditional connection detail. So as it is noticed, it is seen the minimum intervention and joint detail can preserve it in different places. In the end, we incorporate the minimum intervention method into a traceable restoration process and can we incorporate the technique that reflects the oral knowledge developed between masters and appearance with a computational approach in restoration process. And this carpentry knowledge, we know that it's an intangible heritage. So we must use this knowledge. So as a result of the questions, the workflow to be proposed to the restoration process is as shown in the slide. First of all, after a kind of scanning was done, a rule-based grammar, we look here. Proposal was developed in this way, as can be seen the steps developed with the digital system turn into a workflow in collective way. And as a result of the workflow, production can be made. In fact, if you look at it, it can create an identity of the historical structure element. Maybe we talk about analysis. The photogrammetry that we include in the first step of the workflow can be read with the analysis of Göceli Mosque. In this slide, we can see the types of deformation and amount of degradation of the different location of structure element depending on the variable values, so that the degradation areas can be defined on the system. Integral to the detection of this degradation process, a topological optimization is here, number one, is also included. And the intersections of the places where the load passes and where the deformation occurs are obtained digitally. This resulted determines where to apply the rule-based grammar. After that, as for the rule-based grammar, the rules were obtained according to the way the joint detail come together and mortis tenon situation. And in this slide, we see the combination systems that are formed in the structure depending on the intersection of the rules. And you saw in the previous slide, as a result, in the study master apprentice carpentry knowledge, which can be considered as an intangible heritage, was included in the restoration process with a computational approach. The basic step of traceable restoration workflow were created. This study is an investigate to eliminate the problems that may be experienced in the repair of traditional wooden structures. And thank you for all, and our study is open to your question and comments.
Thank you, Mehmet, Salih, OZALP, for the presentation.
Thank you for listening.
We will continue with the third presentation now, which is titled Culture and Art Focus Transformation, Yenikapi, and it will be presented by Zehra OZCELIK.
Hi, my name is Zehra OZCELIK. I'm a master's student in Urban Space Organization and Design program at Yıldız Technical University, and I'm also a research assistant in there. In my study, I have proposed strategic decisions focusing on culture and art to regenerate a Yenikapi. The flow of the presentation includes an abstract, introduction, literature review, case study, conclusion, and references. Preserving the cultural heritage and memory of cities is crucial for maintaining urban identity and values. Therefore, strategies for conserving cultural heritage and memory during urban regeneration are essential. This study primarily focused on cultural and artistic elements such as supporting cultural activities, preserving archaeological sites, and promoting tourism. The study involved data analysis to understand the area's significance and the development of strategies for its regeneration based on the analysis results. The aim is to provide decision-makers with guidance for the city's regenerations. The proposed strategies aim to preserve the cultural memory of the Yenikapi region as a heritage area. The study takes a comprehensive and systematic design approach to evaluate regional and urban relationships. A literature review revealed extensive research on the relationship between regeneration, urban, culture, and art. Regeneration often involves physical rehabilitation, public space beautification, and the integration of cultural and creative industry. In the case study section, the study area's description, methodology, and regeneration strategies are explained. The Yenikapi region with its historical significance is examined in detail. The Yenikapi region with its historical layers from Roman, Byzantine, Ottoman, and Republic periods serves as an example in the study. The area has transformed over time from a Roman Byzantine harbor to an Ottoman Bostans area and today to a storage and garage space. It has also become a transportation hub in recent times. The Yenikapi region is highlighted as a cultural and artistic focal point in urban development plans. The study area encompasses various zones, including storage, garage, residential, archaeological, healthcare, commercial, recreational, and transportation hub. As can be seen from the Kevinage analysis, it has been determined that pedestrian activities is minimal in the nearby areas of the railway. The area between the railway and the Kennedy Street has turned into an unremarkable buffer zone. The goal of the study is to create a roadmap for revitalizing the historical urban area, which has lost its vibrancy through social, cultural, and physical interventions. And also, this study is to transform the area situated between the railway and Kennedy Street, a buffer zone with underutilized functions, into an urban attraction. The study suggests converting the area into a cultural and art center, integrated within historical and cultural layers. Descriptive analysis and spatial mapping were used to visualize the process. Cultural and art-oriented decisions were formulated based on the obtained data, aiming to enhance the area's identity. It is proposed to reconfigure the area between the railway and Kennedy Street, currently serving as a buffer zone with concrete silos, a gas station, and a transformer station, into a cultural and art center. The aim is to establish a relationship with the station structure and transform it into a focal point. The study proposes revitalizing the idle railway, creating a cultural road along historical axis, and transforming the railway's border function. The route would allow cultural and artistic elements to flow from the north to the designed cultural park area. The vision is to create a cultural and art center integrating with historical and cultural layers in its vicinity. This area was a Byzantine-era port and later an Ottoman Bostan, will become a recreational cultural park. It will host outdoor artistic activities and be connected with Yalı neighborhood, restoring the open space texture of the past. A circulation system will connect the archaeological areas, improve access to the sea, and create a pedestrian network among cultural spaces along existing and vanished wall traces. In this image, you can read the Blue District, which is a cultural heritage like Yalı neighborhood, the archaeological heritage, the Old Bostan in the urban memory, and the traces of the land and sea walls, some of whose ruins have survived to our days. Design decisions focus on a circulation axis guiding people from the transfer center and the northern part of the city to reach the sea. The area around the entrance, acting as a gateway to the city for external visitors, is integrated into the overall design, turning it into a focal point. In this image, you can see the relationship of the focal point with its surroundings. Leakage from the field experience into the mass, area that will establish a relationship with the residential area, the area where visual relationship with the sea will be. In summary, this study focuses on regeneration of the Yenikapi region, emphasizing the preservation of cultural heritage and memory. It provides strategic decisions for urban regeneration, highlighting the importance of cultural and artistic elements. The aim is to guide the revival of the city, ensuring the conservation of its rich urban identity and heritage. Thank you for listening.
So thank you, Zehra OZCELIK, for the presentation.
Thank you.
We move to the last presentation, which is titled Spatial Sustainability Views of Industrial Heritage Areas. the case of Manufaktura. It will be presented by Deniz ÇAKAR.
Hello everyone, I am Deniz ÇAKAR, a doctoral candidate in restoration at 9 Eylül University. I have worked on this study as a part of my thesis with my advisor, Professor Dr. Müjgan KARATOSUN. And the topic of the article is Spatial Sustainability in Reuse of Industrial Heritage Areas, the Case of Manufaktura. So the aim of the study is to examine the concept of spatial sustainability and identify the parameters through which it can be analyzed, as well as to assess the impact of transformations occurring in industrial areas that have been repurposed for uses completely different from their original function on spatial sustainability. In this context, the transformation of the Manufaktura complex in Łódź, Poland, which was transformed from an old textile factory into a space for commercial, entertainment, accommodation, and cultural purposes, is investigated. So we can begin with the fundamental idea of sustainability. It's about meeting today's needs without compromising the needs of the future generations. So we all know that sustainability initially focuses on environmental issues, but over time, cultural heritage has become an integral part of the sustainability concept, and the reuse of historical sites supports sustainability principles. So the main benefits within the scope of sustainability of transforming historical buildings into living entities are, firstly, it ensures the transfer of collective memory and societal identity. It promotes economic revitalization in local communities, and it re-evaluates existing building stock from an environmental perspective. So in recent years, various communities such as especially Tiki and Ecomos actively back this recognition, and they have played a crucial role in involving industrial heritage in reuse efforts within societies. From here, we can find out the two fundamental aspects of spatial sustainability while transforming the spaces. One is preservation of authenticity and integrity. Second is documentation of spatial knowledge for present and also for future generations. To evaluate spatial sustainability comprehensively, the study employed both tangible and intangible dimensions. The tangible dimensions are analyzed from physical transformations, and the intangible dimensions are analyzed by doing a visitor perception survey. So if we look to the case study, the area in the 19th century, Manufaktura was Europe's one of the largest textile factories. It was a very big production area with different uses like spinning mill, weaving mill, workshops, and more, with a street pattern and courtyards, large spaces with innovative construction techniques, typical industrial area of 19th century. And the transformation process focused on two main aspects. Firstly, removing non-qualified constructions, and secondly, creating a central square as the project's focal points. So the central square was inspired actually by a Reenact concept, historically representing the center of Polish cities. The interventions on existing structures have different approaches. Firstly, some buildings have been completely demolished, while others have been left entirely untouched. In addition, we can also see many removal of numerous buildings in the area, and also some new constructions or additions. Between these contrasting approaches, we can talk about two main degrees of interventions. Firstly, partial interventions. These involve preserving the structural elements and materials of the buildings while modifying the interior spatial arrangements. And secondly, extensive interventions. These entail significant changes to the internal building elements while preserving just the outer shell. So in the research, the transformations on the area are analyzed into these two different degrees of interventions. And the physical effects of these 2 degrees interventions, these partial and extensive interventions, these physical interventions are analyzed under 4 main categories. These are facades, structural components, interior furnishings, and additions. And all the important changes and additions due to new functions are analyzed. And also the actions conducted for the transmission of spatial information are also analyzed, because it is also an important topic for the transfer of the spatial knowledge. In this transformation project in Manufaktura, we can see a comprehensive documentation and archiving during registration studies, and actions like creating information panels for visitors or outdoor exhibitions, and a museum of the factory for today's visitors. And lastly, survey study. The survey aimed to investigate how the space is perceived by the visitors, their awareness of its original features, and their interest about the history of the area. And in line with the survey findings, as a result, a significant portion of visitors already possess prior knowledge about the area's history. However, when it comes to utilizing the information provided, for example, in the museum, the responses are divided. While many participants during their visit felt the historical and cultural significance of Manufaktura, a smaller percentage either felt it only partially or did not feel it at all. And interestingly, over half of the visitors do not express a strong desire for deeper knowledge about this area. And half of the respondents hold a neutral view on the redevelopment's impact on cultural heritage preservation, implying limited influence on their perception. In conclusion, it has been explored in this study the effects associated with spatial sustainability of historical industrial complexes after undergoing redevelopment, from the preservation of authenticity to the effective transfer of knowledge. These areas hold a unique and valuable place in our cultural heritage, while challenges exist, of course, such as extensive transformations and shifting visitor priorities. Ways to improve spatial sustainability have also been identified. By making mindful choices in function, valuing historical resources, and optimizing documentation efforts, the preservation of these invaluable spaces can be ensured. And in line with preservation guidelines, reuse remain as a powerful tool for securing the spatial sustainability of these valued heritage sites. Thank you for your attention.
So thank you, Deniz ÇAKAR, for the presentation. And so we concluded the presentation section. We listened for presentations in this section. The first one from Tuba and OLGUN focused on the conservation of historical bridge structures in the upper Euphrates section. And the second one from Mehmet, Salih, OZALP introduces a novel computational approach to restoring historical timber structures. The third one from Zehra OZCELIK explores the cultural and artistic revitalization efforts in the Yenikapi district. And the last one from Deniz ÇAKAR emphasizes the importance of achieving spatial sustainability in the use of historical industrial areas. And now we have reached the Q&A part. And I'll check whether there is any questions and comments. Sure, Miran Hocam, you can take the lead.
Thank you. I apologize for not turning my camera on. I'm not feeling well. Sorry about this. I have a question to the first presenter, to Banur. Thank you for the presentation. I'm interested in the general methodology that you're using for the project. If you are able to talk about that, I'd be really interesting. So I don't know if you're familiar with the entire scope of your TÜBİTAK project, but it would be great if you could, because we're from architecture, of course, we look at we investigate different properties, different features of heritage, cultural heritage. I'm wondering what you are investigating and identifying in all these bridges in the Fırat region, Upper Fırat region.
Actually, we are a big equipe on this project. There are the other one from history department and art history department and geography department and architecture department, me and my friend. As first, actually, we follow the traces via the history, and we discover some bridges, and then we work on as far as geographic, we work on a map on all of them, and then we work on for survey them, because there are no documentation about many of them. So as an architectural part, we survey them, we document them, and we, how can I say, we take this documentation to the art history department, and the art history department work on about its some detailed qualification, and then we actually we how can I say, we work with General Directorate Highway Station also. So we are on the first part of the project actually. We will continue, but this is not continue with our first plan. It will be changed because we discover many conservation problem and many different documents about history. So we change our scope and aim in this time. So I cannot say anything about exactly we will do this, but now at this time we discover some bridges via history and geographical identification, and we survey them, we document them. After that, we will think about that, what will we do about this documentation, and how will we continue this working.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this information. In the surveyings, do you use technologies? And so
no. Traditional.
Okay, interesting.
Traditional.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe I can ask another question. Like, how do you envision the future of these historical bridge structures in terms of their preservation and public awareness?
I guess more or less, maybe, I cannot say anything exactly, but maybe we will discover more or less more than 100 bridges on this area, because we have some documents as historical, and some surveys also from Ottoman Empire. There are some surveys from that time. So we can say that maybe we will discover more than 100 bridges, more or less, I guess.
Actually, I was talking about like are there any plans for turning those historic bridges into a tourist attraction or educational resources?
Like, as suggestions, I guess you.
Yeah, for future projection.
Actually, as first, we like to discover them and their locations also. After that, we will decide about that. But there are some suggestions as generally now. as I said, I can say anything exactly about that now, because some of them are many central locations, and some of them are I cannot say some. How can I say? They are. Some of them are on between mountains, I can say, and some of them on centrally location. Yes, so we cannot say any exact suggestions about as general. We will work on that. We will discover all of them. After that, we will say something about that.
Okay, thank you. Let me check the Q&A again. No, we don't have any questions in there. Maybe I'd like to ask our panelists again. Would you like to ask each other questions or make comments? Or I may go on and ask another question. Okay, let's go with another question. I want to ask Mehmet, Salih, OZALP. Like, what are some of the limitations associated with integrating computational methods into heritage restoration? What are the challenges, limitations of this approach?
Actually, our limitation is some deformation type. It's a physical limitation in structure. And our other limitation is maybe I'm say the intangible heritage, and is that a carpentry knowledge. And nowadays we look a restoration process and only focused on the authenticity, I don't know, originality, and it's support the just shape similarity, and that similarity is the image on restoration, and some restoration process have huge price in restoration process. So maybe we developed the rule-based grammar, and these rules include the carpentry knowledge, carpentry joint knowledge, maybe I say, and it's support the now restoration process, and it's integrated the rule-based restoration process, maybe I say. And
do you think it would be easy to teach those carpenters about the shape grammars? Like, are they going to read and understand how to implement that shape grammar?
I don't understand, sorry.
Do you think will it be easy to teach shape grammar to carpenters? And is it gonna be easy to apply it by carpenters?
Yes, actually, we talk about the rule-based grammar because I am focused on the rules with carpentry knowledge. So shape grammar is a huge in this point, and so we talk about on grammar-based rules. It's enhance the work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to ask another question to Zehra OZCELIK about the Yenikapi. Like, what are some potential challenges and opportunities that the Yenikapi transformation may face in terms of sustaining its cultural and artistic focus while adapting to the evolving city trends or needs?
Actually, this work is the output of work produced my project course, and it's a suggestion study, and it's an earlier stage. I tried to put forward some strategies to raise awareness and awareness for local administrations, planners, and city urban designers. I tried to show how an unqualified area in a central region can be revitalized with this suggestion and interventions. I tried to design an area that has a cultural background. Thank you for your questions.
Okay. And I want to ask a similar one to Deniz ÇAKAR. Like, what are the key considerations and challenges in sustaining the spatial authenticity and integrity of Manufaktura and also similar projects?
Yes, so for my PhD research, I'm searching also for some other areas, and the big challenge is the financial part, I think. So these places are very big places, these complexes, and not all the investors we want to investigate for such big projects. So sometimes it's difficult to find the correct investor, and also so the new function is very important. So I am searching actually the functions which make extensive changes in spaces. So for example, a museum to change as a museum and use as a museum industrial heritage area, it is maybe it has a better results, but some other extensive changes like commercial area or restaurant, or to change and use as a school, make a very big difference. And it's changed also the focus of the user. So the user with time they are forgetting the main concept of the area. So these are the challenges, I think.
Like, in terms of the financial aspect, do you think is it possible that the users of this area can be the financiers or the investors of this building or the similar areas, and like, can they start and run a grassroots movement for this kind of areas? Themselves, I can say.
Yes, I think there is some examples about that in Europe. Actually, for one project, there's sometimes many investors, sometimes a big investor, a private one, and the local governments are working together. And for this project, the result is, I think it is better. No.
Okay, thank you. Let's check the Q&A again. We don't have any here. Yeah, I want to ask again. Would you like to ask each other any question or comments? So if there is no question or comment, I'd like to conclude this session. And then thank you all for your participation. I'd like to remind that closing ceremony will be held at 3:15 p.m. And I thank everyone once again. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
you.